this video you can see how little wastage there is with what's left of the pieces of the oak chair that I used to make this little gadget. Enjoy. Well, this is an interesting one. I've only got 3 pieces of wood. I've just recycled and pulled all these bits of wood screws off here, and there's only 3 of them. And I offered it up, and I thought, oh, you can't really make 2 out of 1. How am I going to deal with this? But look at this, it's very interesting. There's one of them here that's just a bit bigger than the others. If you offer it up to the job, you'll see that you can only just get 2 pieces out, so that'll give 1 piece each to the other side. So, you know, I've only got 3 pieces of wood here. I've just got enough to finish this job. Isn't that a miracle? But then I said that when you cut a piece, normally the other pieces fit somewhere else. Don't throw anything away. So you can see these pieces here, they're already cut, nice corner pieces. They could go in here for somewhere else. We'll just see if we need it or not. If we don't need it, we won't use it. We'll see how we get on. Okay, so I'm going to cut these pieces now, and I'm going to try to fit them together. Very difficult to buy tools on eBay, you know. Look at this thing. I don't know if you can see this. This has a dent, a defect in it here. It was like this when I bought it, and when I bought it, all sort of full of varnish and stuff like this all over here, and never been tested or anything. And whenever you cut anything, it always cuts to the same one side. It's supposed to be a saw designed to cut perfectly square. It's called a dovetail saw, you know. You could never cut a dovetail in your life. I did find it was okay, semi-okay for cutting really, really thin wood. Soft wood, pine, very thin, tiny little piece of pine. If you cut a piece of oak with it, you're in a curve straight away. And so to make what I'm doing, I had to cut all the way around and then keep cutting round until I got it through, and then I had to sandpaper or plane the end. It's not an oak, you know, it's not really that great, not a way of doing it. So it's a bit of a poor man's joining, which is a shame really, because I bought a brand new saw so that I could do a good job. It's just no good. And it's the same with all of the tools, a lot of the tools that I bought on eBay. It's kind of cutting tools, saws, they're just not good enough really. Nowadays they can make such good saws if you find the right one. If you go to a hardware shop, you can pick it up in your hand and know whether it's a good saw or not. But if you're on eBay, then the buyer must beware, I'm afraid, because the quality of this stuff is just, well, he gets what he pays for, I suppose. Yeah, so struggling, you can only do as good a job. If you've got this is what you call demonic nature. It's like made to low standards. And if you have something that's made to low standards, you can only make things to low standards with them. It can only be as good. The objects that you make can only be as good as the tools you use to make them with. So, something to think about. Well, as you can see, it's finished now. This is the part that you don't see underneath here, and there's a few bits missing here and there, but I'll put all the missing bits where you don't see it. And so the part that you do see is this area here, really, the right hand side. So, but it came out really square. I was quite surprised with the tools that I've had to use, and yeah, and it's very substantial, which it needs to be. It gets bolted or screwed onto the bulkhead, so the screws that it screws on with have to go from the outside where it rains back on the inside here. So you can see there's the inside of it. Still need to drill a hole for the wires to come in, but I'm not going to do that until I get on board, so I can see exactly where I want to run the trunking. And there's plenty of space for more there. I had the idea that I would put a lamp, mount a lamp on here, and that would be the switch for the lamp there. It's all wired up ready to take it. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it. That arrangement. And yeah, I put the joins where you can't see them. There, and there. So, oh, and you can't see that one there either. You won't be able to see, if you're looking from this side, you won't be able to see any of the joins. Should look alright. Okay. So, here we are, all ready to go, and it needs varnishing, of course, as everything does. And it's interesting because the only reason I had to do all this work was because this wasn't mounted in a box, and they could have sold it in a nice little plastic box, and all you had to do is screw it bolted onto the bulkhead, and that would have been it. But then you wouldn't have had a nice mounting point for a lamp and a room for expansion and so on and so forth. So whilst it would have been a lot easier, it's probably going to be nicer, and it will actually fit in more in keeping with what's already in the boat. It's already done like this with wood and so on. And I haven't glued anything together, so I can alter it if I want to later on. And you just have to unscrew, you can either unscrew this and pull this out, or you can unscrew this, take the whole thing out. Probably best just to unscrew that and take the whole thing out, and that way you're not putting any stress on the wires. Now this is a little bit, pokey hole and so on. The wires have been messed around quite a lot already, so I don't like to move them too much, otherwise they'll start breaking on me. I didn't have the idea to use chipboard to make this thing out of. Any of this stuff in the boat wouldn't have occurred to me, but I thought it was plywood, veneered plywood, and it was only when I took it all down to the boat and started to cut into it I found it was chipboard. But one thing about chipboard is it's very stable. It doesn't warp and that kind of thing, and it's a little bit heavy, but it's not thick, it's not heavy, it's not thick chipboard. It's quite heavy. Now we've got oak and chipboard. My goodness. I think it'll be okay. Yeah, it'll be okay in the interior. You wouldn't put it outside anyway, of course. It'll be okay. And once it's varnished, properly varnished and everything, and it'll all be sealed up, the edges. So I think it'll be okay. So I'm happy with it. It's as good as I can do without power tools. Like if you've got power tools, things you can be much more precise with them. It's much easier. This way you have to be very careful how you do it. And if you had very good sharp tools, you could do it exactly. I have noticed that the cuts that I've made, they've all fitted perfectly square. And when I screw, it's only screwed together with 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and all the edges fit perfectly. It's just the first one I did with that little saw. I used another saw to do the other ones that came out dodgy, but you won't see, that'll be lost in the process. You won't see that at all. So,